Welcome to Travel Hidden Portals channel. Your guide to the world's engineered landscapes, cultural treasures, and design ideas. Subscribe for long-form explorations of places that shape how we live. Wonders of the Netherlands. Quick question before we begin. Which Dutch wonder would you visit first? The engineering might of the Delta Works? A sea of tulips at Keukenhof? The historic windmills of Kinderdijk? Or the canals of Amsterdam? Pick one and tell us why in the comments. Small in size, outsized in invention, the Netherlands is a study in human persistence. Here, engineering answers the sea. City life revolves around canals and bicycles, and artistry records a mercantile golden age. Over the next 40 minutes, we will move from engineered coastlines and textile color fields to quiet courtyards and vaulted museum halls, investigating not only what the Dutch made, dikes and tulips and masterpieces, but how these things reveal a national method, practical imagination that turns constraint into possibility. Landscape, polders, and engineering the sea. The Dutch landscape reads like an engineering ledger. Centuries of drainage, diking, and land reclamation transformed coastal marshes and shallow lakes into fertile polder fields. Polders, parcels of land surrounded by dikes and kept dry by a system of canals, pumps, and sluices, are managed as hydrological units. Water levels are actively controlled. Excess water is moved to canals, then to rivers, and ultimately to the sea, using gravity where possible and mechanical pumping when needed. This is not a single feat, but a layered system of communal maintenance and technical infrastructure. Local water boards, regional institutions with roots in medieval guild-like organizations, coordinate maintenance, levy fees, and set standards. Their work is continuous. Dikes are inspected, clay cores reinforced, seepage channels monitored. The result is a living landscape in which governance, science, and craft combine. The catastrophic North Sea flood in the mid-20th century forced a systemic response. A nationwide program of barriers, dams, and spillways designed to reduce flood risk along the estuaries. The Delta Works exemplify adaptive, large-scale engineering, combining hydrodynamics, structural design, and environmental mitigation to protect low-lying provinces while preserving tidal ecosystems where possible. Tulips, horticulture and botanical economy. Tulips are ecological spectacles and an economic specialization. Dutch bulb cultivation is a sophisticated industry built on plant breeding, crop rotation, and post-harvest handling. Bulbs are propagated with attention to varietal purity, disease control, and long-term bulb health. Agronomists monitor soil temperature, moisture, and nutrient cycles. Nurseries rotate crops to reduce fungal pressure. And sophisticated cold storage logistics ensure bulbs flower at predictable times for markets. The global tulip trade is underpinned by auction and wholesale markets, as well as direct export. Beyond Keukenhof's annual spectacle, much of the country's horticultural expertise operates year-round in greenhouses, packing houses, and research institutes. An integrated system of science, logistics, and design. Keukenhof functions as both a public garden and a living catalog for breeders. Curated displays demonstrate seasonal sequencing, color harmonies, and landscape design principles that guide commercial plantings and public taste. Windmills, water management and material culture. Windmills are machines adapted to a specific environmental problem. Early mills converted wind energy into mechanical force to lift water from low-lying areas into canals. Others ground grain or powered saws. The mechanics are straightforward in principle. A rotating sail drives a shaft and gearing that transforms rotational speed into the force or lift required. But the craftsmanship and materials knowledge required to build wooden gears, counterweights, and adjustable sails represent a deep artisanal tradition. Preservation at sites like Kinderdijk balances structural integrity with authenticity. Conservation teams use period-appropriate timber species, traditional joinery, and documented maintenance regimes to keep mills operable while ensuring safety and public access. The mills therefore remain working artifacts, tools, not static monuments. Golden Age art, technique, trade, and social context. The Dutch Golden Age produced a distinctive visual language. Extreme observational realism, sophisticated light modeling, and an economy of genres: still life, portraiture, cityscape, and domestic interior. Technical mastery allowed painters to exploit oil's capacity for glazing, building luminous skin tones through successive translucent layers. This technical approach was matched by an art market unlike Florence or Rome. A commodified, public-facing market driven by merchants, civic institutions, and a bourgeois clientele seeking images that reflected taste, status, and moral narratives. Artists recorded not only photographic detail, but social rhythms, merchant wealth, maritime reach, household ritual. Contemporary museum practice emphasizes conservation science, provenance research, and ethical display. Contextualizing paintings as both aesthetic achievements and historical documents. Urbanism, canals, cycling infrastructure, and contemporary design. Dutch urbanism is a case study in incremental, policy-driven design. Centuries of canal construction shaped urban parcels and transportation patterns. In the 20th and 21st centuries, policy choices prioritized cycling infrastructure, transit integration, and mixed-use zoning. Cycle paths are deliberately separated from vehicular lanes. Intersections are engineered for predictability, and parking policy reduces car usage in dense cores. The effect is measurable. High modal share for bicycles, compact urban form, and resilient transit networks. Rotterdam's post-war rebuilding opened the door for experimental architecture. Bold geometries, adaptive reuse, and engineering-forward facades demonstrate a willingness to reimagine the urban skyline. Contemporary practices also foreground sustainability, adaptive facades, urban drainage systems that incorporate permeable paving, and district heating schemes. Giethoorn and rural settlement patterns. Giethoorn is a concentrated example of how settlement patterns adapt to water-rich landscapes. Historically, communities developed linear patterns along waterways. Transport, commerce, and social life organized around boat access. The village's character derives from material culture, thatched roofs, timber framing, and an economy of small-scale agriculture, crafts, and seasonal tourism. Managing visitor impact without eroding local life is an ongoing governance challenge. Preservation planning aims to limit infrastructure overload and maintain the village's scale. Mary, the Holocaust and Public History. Public memory in the Netherlands is articulated through museums and memorials that treat personal testimony and archival records with equal weight. Sites associated with wartime suffering, including the Anne Frank House, function as places of individual narrative and collective reckoning. Curatorial practice in these institutions focuses on contextualization. Primary documents, verified testimonies, and material culture are presented, alongside interpretive frameworks that link past injustice to contemporary questions of human rights and tolerance. Daily life, social policy, and sustainability. Everyday life in the Netherlands is shaped by policy legacies, high public investment in infrastructure, decentralized water governance, and a social compact that values public goods. Marketplaces remain local social nodes where provenance matters. Educational and health systems emphasize equitable access. In recent decades, sustainability has become operational. The Netherlands is a leader in applied renewable energy deployment, sustainable agriculture research, and circular economy pilots. Approaches that tie urban planning to resource efficiency. These efforts reflect a pragmatic ethos. Adaptation is a continuous process, combining technical solutions with social institutions to manage natural limits and economic goals. The Netherlands is a nation where constraints became design problems, and where design, technical, social, and artistic, became the answer. Its wonders are manifold: hydraulic ingenuity, cultivated landscapes, artistic brilliance, and an urban culture that privileges collective mobility. But they are united by method: observation, iteration, repair. If there is a single lesson from these lowlands, it is this: stewardship requires constant, informed work, and beauty often grows out of that discipline.